It's weird how they changed YouTube like a few months ago,
Right.
where you like scroll and it like a video starts and there's captions. You seen that?
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Like if you know, on the YouTube app, like you like scroll through like the home page, and then like a video starts. You know, if you stop and look at it for a sec, the video will start without audio.
Hmm.
You didn't notice that?
No, I haven't.
And then it'll like, so if like say you're scrolling your it's like, oh, Zach video, and then it's like the video like will start without audio, and it's like captions like, hey everybody, it's your boy Zach. I had a crazy day. Like you start reading it, you're like, and you could like watch it without that. And so sometimes there's like you get an inbox thing. Let's see, Ashton Comics is live. Well, I have my computer next to me. Ain't that much of a chump. Yeah, but like, yeah, it just said that you're live, so it's like I can go and like watch it. Make sure my audio's off. Yeah. You already got 2 likes. Mhm. Really? I don't know why the fuck that happens. My body, probably. Okay. Well, yeah, because I put my phone down to be on my computer, and then it's like it happens. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome to Ash on Comics. My name is Ash, and I got the wrong screen up. I'm such a professional. Welcome to my show. I've got special guest, Sergeant Bats. Say hello, Bats.
Hello, Bats.
Nice. Today, I just wanted to do a special little segment on Marvel superstar artist Ryan Stegman. For those of you that don't know him, he is the big popular artist on the Venom series written by Donny Cates. It's probably arguably the best thing coming out of Marvel these days. And he's got his own Venom title, Web of Venom, which he's the writer for, but not the artist, strangely enough. But I'm not really here to talk about that. The reason I wanted to talk about Ryan is because of a Twitter interaction that I had with him the other day, which I thought was kind of special. On the screen here, you can see the different Venom titles. I'm on Comicsology, and I really dig the way Ryan visualizes Venom. And what's your favorite cover here, Bats?
I can't really say which one. I mean, the first cover is what caught my attention, and I remember when it came out a few months back. I was kind of like, oh, another number one Venom. Of course there is. Why isn't there? And then I kind of just looked through it out of curiosity because I'm like, this cover is cool.
I got the cover up now. Is this the one you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah. And I was like, this cover is cool. He looks kind of, looks classic and 90s and badass. And then it wasn't until I really flipped through, and a lot of times the covers are cool, but the interior art is trash. And I was like, oh wow, when I was flipping through the interior, and the image that I actually sent you on Twitter, the spiral faced Venom,
Yeah.
really I was like, whoa, okay, yeah, I'm gonna get this. And yeah, because what you have here with on the screen now with the Vikings or whatever, I was like, this is interesting, and then it wasn't until I got to the staple and I saw the spirally faced Venom that I was like, wow, this guy's great. All right, I'm gonna check it out. And then I remember I was like, hey, have you read this, to the guy who owns the shop? And he's like, no, but the writer is the guy who was writing Thanos, and it was really good, so you might like it. It's like, okay.
This was my
And
favorite
so,
cover.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
This is the one that really interests me. I really like his. I don't know if I like him his take on Venom, as far as they've kind of really changed Venom from what he really was. But if I just pretend that Venom didn't exist before today, this is kind of the look. And I'm just showing this some of the interior art of this comic. This comic is just, I got to give this props for just being daring and being different.
I respect the team for having the audacity to change Venom, but still stay true to the character and make him still interesting. Hey, what if we gave him wings? I feel like if it was any other writer or artist, it would have fell flat on its face. But because it's a good writer with a good artist, it really works.
I have to really praise these guys. I really like when people have the balls to do something daring, but yet not just completely turn the book into something it shouldn't be. I want it to be interesting, and Venom definitely looks interesting. I don't, unfortunately, buy it because Marvel's kind of dead to me right now.
And I can say this as a hardcore DC fan, and I like the Marvel characters that are like DC characters, like Fantastic Four and Spider-Man and Captain America. Venom has always been that that's way too edgelord Marvel. I never liked characters who were, black costume, freaking 90s, extreme. It's just never been my, same with Punisher, Ghost Rider. Venom,
How dare you
and like
say anything
yeah, I
negative
know,
about
yeah,
Punisher?
and so Donny Cates doing like turning the Punisher into Ghost Rider. I was like, and making Venom. So like two books that I like over at Marvel. I'm like, wow, dude, you took like the three characters I don't like and really made them interesting to me. So mad respect. Like
Yeah, I feel
that's
like they're doing. I feel like Donny
a
Cates
really cool image.
and Ryan Stegman are actually kind of doing something outside of the box. Is like they're not. This really isn't the Marvel way or the DC way. Like this is something different, and that's kind of what interests me about it. But I didn't really want to sit here and just talk about Ryan's art all day. I want to just fill in who he is for anyone that may not know. The reason that I wanted to do this little video segment is my interaction on Twitter. I follow Ryan because I think he's kind of funny, and because I follow different artists and writers that aren't a-holes, and most of the ones that are a-holes block me anyway, so I can't follow them. But Ryan made this post on Twitter. It says, working on one of the most ambitious pages I've ever done. Could go off the rails at any minute. Gonna pop some Xannies and get through it. And so I liked it. And I was like, oh, that's... I like... First of all, I like his avatar, too. This little, like, whining face avatar. But what got my attention was last summer when they were launching Venom. I thought he and Donnie had a really cool... The way they were promoting the book on Twitter, like they were just always bantering about it and talking about how it's better than Watchmen and all this stuff. And I was like, who are these clowns? I didn't know who they were. And I was like, oh yeah, this is fun. Like there's this two guys at Marvel that are doing things the way comics pros should be doing things. Like while everyone else is bitching about, the industry, or they're bitching about Comicsgate, there's all this bitching, and here we got two guys that are just like
Or
talking
the president.
or the president, right? Whatever it is, they're bitching about something. And here's two guys like having fun with comics. And unfortunately, I was like, man, I really want to buy these guys' book, but Marvel's dead to me. Like I had just reached a point where Marvel has done way too much to deserve any of my money. But I still want to promote what should be good in comics. I don't hate Marvel. I just hate what it's become, and I would love to see Marvel be great again, and I could enjoy these characters and enjoy giving them my money. And so I kind of want to promote Ryan for a second. So he makes this post, and then Comics Villain, who's a CG guy, responds, well, since everyone's doing it, do you disavow Comicsgate, Ryan Stegman? Which I didn't really agree. Comics Villain, if you're listening ever to this, I think this is kind of provocative. Like it was kind of unnecessary, but I understand why he posted it. If you're not aware, Donny Cates, about a week prior, had made a post, being the writer of Venom, made a post about disavowing Comicsgate. And it felt very pressured. It felt like one of those things where, like, behind the scenes, someone was like, oh, I don't ever see you talk, disavowing Comicsgate. And then, like, so he gets on and makes this post. That's what it came across to me, which, of course, upset a lot of fans. It kind of bothered me because about a month or two ago, I had made a tweet about Donny Cates. I had retweeted one of his tweets, kind of trying to give him credit. And my tweet went along something to the effect of, Donny Cates may not be Comicsgate, but he doesn't ever need to be because he's just a true professional, and that's what Comicsgate wants. And so as long as he, I just was praising his professionalism and his talent, and, we don't ever need to expect him to, wave the flag of Comicsgate.
Which he shouldn't, because it's a consumer thing. Like he works there. He gets free books.
Sure.
We're the ones paying $3.99 a freaking comic book.
Sure.
So when 15 minutes of entertainment isn't good and we're still paying $3.99, well, then we should stop and we should fight it until we get what we want.
No disagreement there. But the reason I was making that comment is just because there's quite a few people in Comicsgate who feel like artists need to, like, join the cause and wave that flag. And it's like, I don't think that's the case. Like, I just want comics professionals to be professional again, and I want them to make good content, and I want them to be worthy of our fandom. They don't need to wave the flag. I don't want Comicsgate to even exist. The goal of Comicsgate should be we don't need Comicsgate anymore, right? Yeah. Like, so that was kind of my point in that tweet. Of course, you only have 170 characters or something stupid to try to make that in. But long-winded story. Fast forward to today. Ryan, his partner in crime, makes this post, and Comics Villain starts to provoke him a little bit, based on that history. And then Ryan's response was, yes, duh. And I saw that, and I was like, really? I just had to, like, sigh. I was like, come on, Ryan. So I responded to him. And I was like, you know what? I thought about how I should respond. I was like, I want to, be contentious, but not unprofessional, not a jerk. I don't want to be one of those, So I just said, you know what? You should disavow behavior, not fans.
You said not behavior.
Yeah, I misspoke. It was a typo. So I'm a touch typer, and I blast through my keyboard, and when I'm on the computer, I don't have the autocorrect, and I get lazy. Anyways. And you can't, you can't edit tweets. It's stuck there forever.
I know it sucks.
It's funny, I didn't even notice until you just pointed it out either.
I was staring at it the whole time.
I was too, and I still didn't see it. I got it blown up all big. So I was like, you should disavow behavior, not fans. And to which, to my surprise, I don't know how he was going to respond at all. I actually didn't even expect him to respond. I just figured, whatever. This guy is like the biggest artist at Marvel right now. He probably has millions of fucking tweets in his mentions, and he's not going to see this. But he responded pretty quickly, as a matter of fact. Was like, that's a fine way to look at it. I disavow the behavior and the people that do the bad behavior. To which I responded, fair enough, I suppose. Hopefully you'll also come to realize that the behavior is not representative of the label that the industry wants to blanket smear the rest of us under. And then Ryan responded back to me, and I was like, at this point, it's like, wow, I'm surprised he's even like paying attention to me. Well, it's incumbent on you as members to either start a movement separate from those bad seeds or to disavow the bad seeds, isn't it? And I replied back to him, lest you forget, we didn't start this. The name was put on us by those we objected to. I absolutely do disavow behavior on all sides, but Comicsgate is not a club. There's no membership. It's an idea that people support at their leisure and are demonized by lies about it. And then Ryan comes back and says, well, all I ask is that you guys do a better job of cleaning up your messaging, be that by policing each other more or not supporting members that do bad things. I do my best to be respectful, but I get plenty of people in my mentions being aggressive and rude in return. And for the record, I appreciate your willingness to discuss this. Well, before I had that, I responded to this individual tweet, and it gets all mixed up. The way Twitter does sequencing of tweets, it's sometimes difficult to follow. Damn it. So you can see here that there's a response to this tweet before he says, and for the record, and I'm trying to find how I responded directly to that. And
click on the text.
I did click on the text. See? And then it should be right underneath it, but
well, I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, so I'm like, for the record, I already respected you and love your art, but your mutual willingness to converse back has greatly increased that respect. So I wanted to let him know, like, I wanted to show him essentially that Comicsgate people can be respectful, and that we appreciate their acting respectful, and that we're not just a bunch of loudmouth, angry mob, because that is easily able to have that perspective. I think a lot of times people in Comicsgate don't understand, while we're trying to fight for something, we're causing our own problems by like acting like this angry mob. And you got people like Ryan who weren't part of this. They didn't cause it. They're just doing their job. they get caught in the middle of it, and they don't associate with us. They associate with their peers more often. So the message that they're hearing the loudest is from other comics book pros and editors and people in the business who are constantly filling them with the other side of the story. Anyways, I was very happy. I was like, at this point, I did not expect the conversation to go this way. I did not expect him to tweet, "I appreciate your willingness to discuss this," because the whole time I'm sitting here going, "No, I appreciate you." Like the fact that he not only discussed stuff with us, and took the time out of his day, which, like I said, he gets probably a million, millions is a lot, thousands. I don't know how many. He gets a lot, way more than us. And I know like how clogged up my day can be just trying to answer, my tweets. And I'm like, wow, that was really admirable of him. So I responded because Comics Villain kind of jumped in here. Like, oh, it's like anytime someone gives us attention, right, in the industry, we're like, we latch onto them, and it's like, well, what about this? And I remember like when Joe Quesada kind of came in and engaged the fandom, several months ago, everyone jumped on board, including myself. And it's like, you just get inundated with all these tweets and all this stuff. And we just basically end up hurting ourselves by dogpiling. So I saw Comics Villain, do these 3 sequential tweets here. Just basically, it's like, dude, chill. Like we got Ryan Stegman to even like think we're okay. So I responded, hey, Ryan's not responsible for the comic industry. He's just an artist, and a really good one, trying to do his thing. We should respect that he took the time to talk with us respectfully and thoughtfully, but also that his feed is way bigger than ours. Let's give him some peace. To which Ryan responded, "Thank you," which confirms to me that was the right decision. Like, I think he's basically going, thanks, like, and again, that is a good message to me, because that's seeing that Ryan is appreciating something from our end. And right now, I think the biggest battle that Comicsgate is having is our PR. Like, I think our message is correct. I believe in Comicsgate. We are on the right side of things, but we are not doing ourselves a good service on how we convey our thoughts and our opinions to the other side. And not everyone on the other side is against us. Many of them are neutral people caught in the crossfire. And when we don't identify the enemy correctly, and we have this collateral damage with innocence, essentially, if I'm using kind of an analogy, those people then turn and look at us as the enemy because they didn't ask for this and we brought it on them. So I was like, we don't want Ryan as an enemy.
If I get interject really quick too, I think a lot of, I'm guilty of it myself, but a lot of Comicsgate people in general have trollish tendencies.
Oh, for sure.
So when we engage on the internet, we're not just like we're also trying to push buttons at the same time, while being like trying to be funny and like make CG laugh, while like also going, ooh, or like Gail Simone, shaking her fist at the sky. Those darn dirty comic skaters, like,
right.
And like I saw a tweet today. Someone retweeted a thing. It's like this. I think it was, what's her name? Remfamous was like, "This is Comicsgate," and then it was like some CG or like photoshopped her with like a bucket of fish and how she got kicked out of a Sea World. I was just dying. That was so funny and stupid. But I was like, yeah, this is bad PR.
Right. So, let me finish up this segment here, and we'll have some final thoughts. So, I here you can see on the screen, I found those tweets I was looking for. So, look at this. Gonna go off on another tangent here. So here's that tweet, right, that I looked up because there was a second response to, and you'd think like it would be underneath it, but no, it's way down here. So my response to this tweet that he says, "All I ask is you guys do a better job cleaning up your messaging, yeah. my response was, respectfully, you still treat us like we're an organized group. I can no more control CG supporters than I could the internet. Or you control the filth from your peers. I do not doubt that you get trash people in your mentions. Your professional behavior is admirable. Continued. Just remember, just because some a-holes support Comicsgate does not make anyone who is in Comicsgate an a-hole. Just like because some pro told me to die from dick cancer doesn't make all pros a-holes. And that was when he went back and said, you know, for the record, I appreciate your willingness to discuss this. And then I was like, okay, me too, blah, 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 blah. And then I said, let's ease off of Ryan. Let's let him go back to having his life before we just fucking dogpile the shit out of him. He says, thanks. And that was the end of that interaction. And I just wanted to bring this to attention because it really sparked home with me that there are people in the industry who are not anti-Comicsgate. And I don't think necessarily Donnie is one. I think Donnie is probably more inclined to be anti-Comicsgate than maybe Ryan is. And he's definitely, you know, kind of a liberal, progressive kind of guy. But I think he's
pink hair at one point, so of course he is.
I don't judge people's hair color, but yeah. So my point is like, I don't think that everyone is anti-Comicsgate, and there's this danger I see that we've become so polarized and divisive that it's like, if you're not with us, you're against us. And that is a damaging, dangerous side to take for us as Comicsgaters. What we need to do is build bridges. What we need to do is make sure that the people who are in the middle, the moderates, if you would, to use a political analogy, can empathize and see us as worthwhile. What I wanted to do is have Ryan walk away from that engagement with us as, hey, there's some good fans in Comicsgate. Because right now, the message is, on the other side, is all Comicsgate fans are assholes, and they're bigots, and they're not worth, like, you don't want their money. And our message is, no, we're cool people, and we're diverse, and we're the big fans, and we're being lied about. But if we act like a bunch of idiots and trolls and assholes because we're so angry all the time, then we're not sending the right PR message. And I thought this was a really good seed to lay, because Donnie's going to go, well, it's been a couple days, but my thought at the time was he's going to go to bed, and he now has this interaction
Ryan's
with,
going to go to bed, not Donnie.
Yeah, sorry. I'm thinking about Donnie. No. Ryan's going to go to bed, and he's going to have this seed planted in, you know, that, hey, there's a couple Comicsgate guys to talk to, and they were cool. And later on, at some point, he's going to talk to a peer. You know, maybe he's going to talk to John Layman, and that he's going to spurg out about how evil Comicsgate is. And Ryan's going to have an experience that contradicts that. You know, that's the biggest thing we're battling right now, is that we have a lot of people that just don't even know us. All they're doing is taking hearsay and saying, well, I've got nothing that challenges that. And so if everyone I know is saying Comicsgate's a bunch of bigots and assholes, then so be it. That must be what it is, because there's nothing to the contrary. But now Ryan does have something to the contrary. So if any one of you guys are listening to this, what I would encourage you to do is not dogpile Donnie. Please don't tweet him. Well, you can do what you want. I just don't want. Consider what you do. If you do tweet him, consider how it's going to sound and how it's going to appear, even if it's positive, right? Like, the guy gets thousands more tweets than we do. And what I would encourage you to do is like those tweets. Just click on the heart, because that'll appear in his mentions, and he'll see the tweets that he made that were positive blow up with a bunch of hearts. If constantly it's like ding, 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 liked it, liked it, liked it, that's going to send us a really solid message without having to, challenge him and be like, well, I would say, please don't do this where you send him a tweet and go, well, Donnie, Ryan, if you're challenging him about that just is not going to help. Even if you're trying to do it in a positive way, these guys, they can't fix the problem. They're caught in the middle. So try to have some understanding, some empathy, and let's go baby steps and try to build a positive relationship. And Bats, do you have anything to add to that?
I agree with it. I think you kind of did gloss over, because I caught it. I caught that interaction while it was happening, and I read it. I got a little upset. Like my tweet was shortened from what I was gonna say, because I was like, I don't want to come off as an asshole, because I was gonna say much more, but it was just like policing each other is not the way, because I don't believe, like, if I were to take, you know, I can't tell any one person what to say. You know,
Right.
me and you know each other, but like, like I don't, if like I don't know comics villain, and I don't, so I'm not, I can't just be like, hey man, can you dial it back? Like directly to him. Like I don't know who he is, and so I don't, like me telling you what to say or what you can and can't say is just goes against my beliefs. So I just said policing, each other is not the way. Like I don't have, it's not my right, it's not my purpose to tell what people can and can't say. And so I disagree with that. But I also, I do think that we need to, like, yeah, come at it a little more differently, because like I said, I think the majority of Comicsgate all have kind of trollish tendencies, and I'm guilty of it myself too. You know,
Yeah, and so to anyone that you do, if you do have trolling tendencies, like I troll Gail Simone all the time, but that's because Gail Simone has proven to just be a loathsome, hateful person, and I believe is just deserving of everything that she gets. I think she's deceitful, and she pretends to be something that she's not, and there's no sign of remorse in her. She's some of the things that she's done is just reprehensible. So, and mostly she's muted me anyway. So I think it's funny because if she blocked me, I couldn't do a lot of the things that I do, but she's muted me, so I can quote tweet her all day and talk about her, and everyone else sees it, but she doesn't. So it's like, it's funny. But people, I'm not going to win Gail's, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to win her hearts and mind over. But these people like Ryan Stegman and Donnie Cates and others, like, they're in the middle. And these are people who have opportunities, to where we can win their hearts and minds. We can show them that we're not what the lies say. Gail, no matter what we do, I could cure Gail of cancer and she would still think that Comicsgate was, like, she's like lost. She has no, so if
Gail's also in, like, essentially the tail end of her comics career.
She's destroying her career. I don't know.
She's not only destroying it, but like all her good stuff was, 15 years ago. And now she's just hanging on by a thread, like,
yeah, she clearly doesn't care anymore, and she's gotten away with basically phoning in her work for so long that she has become very lazy at her job. And when that happens, because it's happened to me before, I can attest, it's very difficult to get back that ambition and go back to the way it was when you started and we're like, oh yeah, I'm on fire for this. Like, once you let it all slide, it's real difficult to get back, and that's where Gail's at right now. In addition, she's pissed off half the fan base. So
Yeah, like Melissa says here, she's ruined Batgirl and Harley Quinn, and then Gale turned Batwoman into a gay. No, no, the Batwoman thing is wrong. That was Greg Rucka, but um, and that was a character he created too, so from scratch, and that was part of the beginning of her character. But nonetheless, see her stuff on like Secret Six and Birds of Prey, when when she was you know the new thing, you're like, oh yeah, this is good. I collect Birds of Prey, and then she came on, and yeah, it was like new writer, new artist, and new team, and it's good and it's exciting, and but now it's like, you know, I wouldn't read Domino if me $3.99 to read it.
Oh my god. I cannot believe that
And I
they're
read
rebooting Domino.
yeah, I read Plastic Man #1 and reviewed it before Zach, and even was like, oh, okay, I'm not. I can't come back for #2. I can't. No, 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 no. And I read it in the shop. I didn't pay for it. I was like, oh, there's no way I'm gonna read this second issue. No
Dom-
way.
Domino. I was never a big Domino fan when Liefeld wrote her, and like created her and the original. But I did appreciate the character, and the way that Gale is writing Domino is so like not even like it's just like this is a completely different character. It's it makes Bendis appear to be like nailing Superman, like as far as like Bendis is getting off of Superman, it's like no. Gale's like, hold my beer, I'm gonna show you how to get a character wrong. Domino is just like it's a joke, but no one cares because it's Domino, right? And for whatever reason, Marvel wants to turn all of their like C-list characters into stars. I don't get this idea. Like, let's do Iceman and let's make a comic about Domino and Quicksilver and like all these characters. Like, dude, these characters are team characters or side characters. Like, you don't give them their own series, right? People want like Punisher and they want Iron Man and they want Spider-Man and they want like the big league characters. And they just seem like intent on being like, oh, but don't you want like an Aunt May comic, or something stupid like, no.
I feel like Iceman could be the lead or like the leader in an X-Men book, but
Well, if
I
they can
don't
make
think
Kitty Pryde the leader of an X-Men book, they can make anyone a leader of an X-Men book.
sure.
Like they have like effed over X-Men so much that it's not even recognizable anymore. I remember when the X-Men movie came out from Fox like years ago, and being a huge X-Men fan, I was like, oh my god, there's gonna be an X-Men movie and it looks so cool. And then I went and saw it and I was like, yep, they effed that up. And it never dawned on me that like the comics could muck it up even worse. And then I see like what they did with the X-Men color series. I'm just like, what? Oh boy. So let's I'm gonna address the chat real quick. I totally ignored all the chat while we were talking about that. What was it? I saw someone was talking about Punisher. Punisher Max. Badass in Punisher Max. I never read Punisher Max. Bats, did you ever read the Punisher original miniseries?
The only Punisher I've ever read is when he showed up in a Spider-Man book, and then I knew a guy who liked the Punisher the way I like Batman, and I thought he was a weirdo because Punisher sucks. Um,
Punisher doesn't suck.
but when you're a Batman fan and you're like, he's like, guns are bad, and then like a whole character is like based around guns from his family being killed by guns. It was weird. you know, Nonetheless, okay. Either way, the only Punisher I ever read was the Chuck Dixon, John Romita Jr. run,
There's
and
been
that was
there's been so many runs, I don't know.
well, Chuck Dixon is he's famous for Batman.
Yeah, I know who Chuck Dixon is.
right? And I like John Romita Jr.'s art, so I just kind of was like, oh, I like both these guys, so I'll read this Punisher. It was cool, but that's the only Punisher I read.
Okay, I'm not sure which one that is, but the original miniseries back in the 80s, back when you were a
Is that
C.
the one that was that the one that had the airbrush cover?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I flipped through it, but because it's like one of those dollar True Believer books right now,
Yeah, the
the
first
shop.
the first issue is $1.
Hmm.
I'm trying to find it on like Comixology, but I don't know if they have it. Um, it's that to me, it's like, of course, it's the definitive Punisher, and that was back in the days when they just didn't give C-list characters their own comic. Not even the Punisher, who was like the Deadpool of the day, right? Like if you put Punisher in a comic book, people are like, "Oh my god!" Like that issue's sold out. You know, no matter what, it could be
I
the
mean, I would argue that he's a C-list Spider-Man villain, but what do I know?
well, he used to be. That's
I know.
that's what he started off as, like, but he was such a popular villain that like you put him in any book, that book sold out. Like people were just like they just wanted Punisher. But even then they weren't just like, let's give him a series. They gave him a mini series, which
Hmm.
was really super popular, and I urge you to check that out someday. It's it explores who the Punisher is and why he does what he does. And I thought it was a great series, of course. You know, what do I know? I read it when I was young. But that is the definitive Punisher for me. And they've done a lot of different things since, some good, some bad. But I really I like the Punisher a lot. Um,
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at this comment. It's so wrong. I'm sorry, the Vey. The Vey says, "Remember when Robin had his own series? It flopped for that reason." It's like, how did it? I'm so confused. But like, that series went on for almost 200 issues. It's not really a flop.
yeah. Well, back in the day, comics they let them run. Um, even bad comics. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I'm not gonna anything talk about that. But anyways, my point is
Well,
you
for
should read
8
that
years, it
Punish.
was written by Chuck Dixon, so it can't be that bad, right?
Well, it can because Chris Claremont wrote X-Men Extreme or Extreme X-Men.
Yeah,
People
that was after his heyday.
people are fallible.
Not Chuck Dixon. He's
Not
perfect.
Chuck Dixon. Um, so Melissa comments that nothing better than Watchmen is also comic, also Batman White Knight's far left propaganda. What? Come on, Melissa. Um, and then she wrote previous to that, HBO plans to ruin Watchmen. Also, Marvel turning Spider-Man atheist was out of character for him. Also, wish One More Day never happened. Yes, One More Day is the dumbest thing. Breaking up Peter Parker and Mary Jane. What do you think about that?
They're doing it again,
Okay, but
but just over at the distinguished competition.
oh, why do you have to? I'm trying to. I'm trying to not
Uh,
go off on tangents.
yeah, I think it's dumb. I think that Mary Jane and Parker are supposed to be together,
I
and
absolutely.
I commend Nick Spencer for at least trying to, you know, it's like here's a burning dirt here's a burning trash can. Make this sellable. You're like, okay, well let's put the fire out first. Like that's what he's doing with Spider-Man.
Yeah, I haven't been reading Spider-Man at all, so I don't know the story. But my understand is that it just kind of starts off and they're back together, and there's really like no explanation. Um,
Well, it picked up kind of from Dan Slott's like it's kind of it was I wouldn't say it was a slow burn to it, but they were talking vaguely in Dan slot, and so then like next time you see them, they're kind of hanging out, and but in like they're like watching TV, like kind of like cuddling with each other, but not being like too intimate.
All right, here's the deal. Spider-Man is a hero. Amazing Spider-Man is a comic book that we read because we want to read about heroes. We want to read about people who are better than us, people that we look up to and wish that we could be more like. We don't read about a-holes. We don't read about people who are terrible people. Real life divorces happen, people split up. Yes, I get that. However, that is not the ideal. That is not what we would wish society would be. In an ideal world, people would get married and they would live happily ever after. In comic books, especially a comic book called Spider-Man, which is not a dark and grim tragedy, should have a happy ever after story. And a hero character that we look up to, like Peter Parker, and his ideal woman to be with is Mary Jane, they should live happily ever after, at least in their marriage, right? If you want to give them challenges, it should be challenges outside of the marriage, Peter fighting villains or whatever.
Especially when he already has like a loss of a love interest, or a tragic love lost story
Yeah,
already.
yeah, we already got the Gwen Stacy, death of Gwen Stacy story, which, and we got, death of his uncle Ben that defines his character. But those are things that life happens, right? That's not a fault of the character, but a divorce is a fault of the character. That's a stain on the characters, and people can argue like, no, well, no, it's a stain on either Mary Jane or Peter Parker. I argue it's a stain on both. And if it's a stain on either one, I don't want it, because that means Peter was in love with a bad woman, which I don't want to see Mary Jane in that light, or that Peter is a bad person and I don't want to see him in that light. These are comic book characters. They're not meant to give us, real life lessons in that sense. These are things that kids look up to. Kids should look up to marriage and think they are together forever. It's bad enough for every kid that has to go through a divorce. They should not have to have their heroes go through it in comic books. And a risk of going off on a tangent, this is a big problem with DC right now with Superman and Lois Lane. It makes me sick what Bendis is doing with that relationship. It's like, look, that's heroes. Tell stories about characters and having lives that should be the proper way to live. But that's all I'm going to say on that, because we got a lot of comments I just want to get through and wrap up this.
Really quick, also, that's literally the main reason why I hate heroes in crisis. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, all those characters are above having PTSD. And the fact that like not just like one or five, but like every major character in the DC universe has some form of PTSD, is just projecting your own, mental health on all the characters. And I think it's selfish of Tom King. I think it's terrible that he does that, like, because you have some inner demons that you have to deal with. Your like, and you were talking off air about DC fans are like lifetime fanatics. Well, now you're projecting your problems on things that are bigger than you, because DC fans don't really go away, and when they do, they don't ever come back. And that's sad. Like, you as a Marvel fanboy, you came back like 10 years later, and you're like, and you started reading DC. So like, but it's like, it's just weird that like they would do something like that to not just one character but all the characters.
Well,
Yeah.
You and I have
which yeah.
talked about this a little bit, and like I said, and I've said this in my reviews of the book, I'm okay with Heroes in Crisis because it's done outside of the books. You don't read Detective Comics or, well, maybe Batman, because Tom King writes Batman, but you don't read Detective Comics or other stories and see Batman going through a crisis, that sort of thing. You only
No, but it's in other DC books like The Flash and Green Arrow, where those characters have died.
well, the ramifications, but I'm talking about the part where you have problems with seeing characters with PTSD. If you saw that PTSD story crossing over into the other books, that would make more sense. It would force you to engage in that story, whereas the way that it's being done right now, you can choose to engage in that storyline or not. It's kind of like watching the special scenes or special, behind the scenes footage of a movie. Some people, like, they don't want to see how the effects were done because they love the movie magic and they don't want to spoil it for them. And then some people are like, oh, I want to see how you did all that stuff. Like, you have a choice whether or not you want to read a story where you see these characters interacting. Now, for me, I'm okay with it. I honestly think the psychology of some of these characters, especially Superman, is what makes them interesting. So I'm kind of about this story. I think Batman is a different kind of animal because I've always thought Batman is kind of half crazy. That's my take on him, but I don't see a problem with these characters who they've gone through crazy stuff, like witnessed millions of people dying. Like Superman literally lost hundreds of thousands of Kryptonians. They're gone. Like
In the current Bendis run.
Right. Well, my point is if you're in Superman's shoes, that's a psychological blow. You don't just like move on, like, especially a person like
you don't see
Superman.
your friends like get murdered or see your dead friends in your childhood home and not be fazed by it. It's inconsistency.
Anyways, we're gonna go off too long on that. So that is a matter of opinion, and you have your valid reasons of why you dislike it. It's gonna be subjective. The Vi says, what are your thoughts on Black Panther now that being basically the leader of the Avengers, even though Cap and Iron Man is still... My thoughts on Black Panther is that they're pushing a social agenda, and the company is following the current liberal progressive stance of white man bad, every other nationality good. And Black Panther represents a racial minority in America that at one time was enslaved and blah, 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 blah. And they're pushing this whole minority thing, and they're overdoing it and trying to make like, oh, black people are important.
Is technically a minority when he's the king of an African city?
No, but in their eyes, he's still... that's why when Black Panther, this is one of the things that bothered me about Black Panther, the movie.
It's like if I went to Africa and I was like, man, there's a lot of minorities here.
No, this is one of the things that bothered me about the Black Panther movie. And I think the Black Panther movie was a fine, entertaining movie. A little overrated. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's overrated, but I enjoyed it.
But one of the things that bothered me about this movie was all these characters having like the black attitude. And I was like, this is an American thing. This is people who grew up in America, on the streets of America, in black American culture that develop that quote-unquote black attitude. If you grow up in an elitist country that's greater than any other country in the world, and it's utopia, you don't have that attitude, right? These Wakandans that were acting like that, I was like, this would not be the case. It did not make any sense. And the ones that also had this idea of like this whole, like when Shuri was making comments about the white guy, I was like, why would you have this bigotry? Like, your country is the best in the world at everything, and you never ever were oppressed by white men, right? So why would you have this view? You never grew up with parents that instilled in you, oh, we were up, like this did not make sense. It was pure projection of the writers into these characters, that it just didn't make any sense, and it stood out like a sore thumb to me when I was watching it. And so what the question is, what do I think about Black Panther? It's just a pure thing to be like, haha, Black Panther's better than everyone because he's black and white people suck.
Not according to the Golden Globes.
What about according to the Golden Globes?
He was like, the Black Panther was nominated for this, that, and the other thing, and didn't win anything.
Oh, it's not that good.
Well, yeah, I know, but
it's one of those movies that everyone talked about how amazing it was because they wanted to will it so. They want it so bad for an all-black superhero movie to just be the best, to like show, and it was a good movie. Like, fine. Like, but why try to use it as this thing to rub people's noses in something? Just like the movie.
That's how I felt with the Wonder Woman movie. It's like, I liked it, but I think the best parts was the first act of the film. The second act, where they're like in jolly old England, I thought that was really like slow and boring. And then the end is just Batman versus Superman without Batman and Superman.
Don't you dare talk ill of Wonder Woman.
I'm not talking ill of it, but it's like,
you misogynist pig.
It's the hero fighting a CG villain at the end, and the middle's really boring, and the best part is the really bright and colorful parts on Theramascara.
I thought the end fight was fine. The CG kind of bothers me. I wish they wouldn't rely on that, but that we're just kind of.
If you look at it as a visual film, the movie becomes more physically dark, like visually dark. Like, starts off in a really colorful paradise world,
yeah,
and then they go to like the gray, grim, jolly old England, and then by the end of the movie, they're fighting in like Germany at nighttime, and it's like the movie's black at this point. Everything, you can't see anything.
Yeah. Melissa says, I hate that Tom King has done to Batman. He's not an atheist. And she says, I also don't believe Booster Gold or Mr. Terrific are atheists. I have to agree. I don't like the whole Batman being an atheist thing. But so I'm just going to clarify, put on the table here. So my personal beliefs is, I'm a Christian. I believe in God. So just as a disclaimer, you know where I'm coming from. I don't necessarily think God belongs in comic books. And you say, well, what do you mean, Ash? Well, it's like, you're writing this weird, fantastic world that does not in any way have any cohesion to a biblical reality. So to try to conform Judeo-Christian beliefs into this just doesn't make sense. What I would do is just not address it one way or the other. Just always avoid the question, right?
Well,
like,
let me really quick.
Sure.
Let me give you the atheist comes from anti-theist,
mm-hmm.
and it says a person who disbelieves or lack belief of the existence of God or gods.
Right.
Well, no, Batman. He's fought freaking Darkseid. He's
right.
friends with Wonder Woman.
Right. No. I was going to get to that.
That is absolutely 100% wrong.
So
and like.
Yeah, I was going to get to that. So this is also part of the problem that I have with God being in comic books, right? Because when you start writing, in the Christian religion, Christian belief, there are no other gods beside God. But in comic books and any fantasy, you can create many gods. Now all of a sudden you've just contradicted Christian belief. So you can't now interject Christianity as a reality in your fictional world that doesn't conform to biblical reality. You know, like, you're just conflicting. So the solution that I have is just don't ever address it. Don't ask the question. You can have churches and you can have all this stuff, but whenever, like, just don't.
Well,
Never. So the reader, when you read comics and you read Batman, you can say, Batman seems like he would believe in God to me, and there's nothing in the comics that contradict it. Or the reader can look at it and go, I think Batman would be an atheist, and there's nothing in the comics to contradict it. Like, just don't talk about it. Don't answer that question, because inevitably, whatever the answer is going to piss some fans off, right? Just don't. And I think what they did by doing that was just wrong. And to your point, it doesn't make sense. The whole idea of being an atheist is, of course, to say he doesn't believe in God. But you're correct. Atheism means more than that. And it doesn't make any sense for anyone that lives in a world where gods are walking around to be like, nope, I don't believe in any sort of deities. Dude, they're on the street right in front of you. Like, it's stupid. It's like being in Lord of the Rings and being like, I don't believe in magic. What?
Yeah.
It's like,
I see. I disagree with you about, like, bringing God into comics, because there's a I know the answer is no, but have you read Brian Azzarello and Jim Lee's Superman?
No, but hold on. I want to wrap this up because I didn't want this to be a 2-hour stream, and we're already over an hour.
Right on.
Here's the thing. Here's my plan. I want to wrap this up just so I can have a recording and not be like a 2-hour recording, and then we can get back on and chit chat some more and just be blah 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 until we pass out. But so Vi says real quick, my review of Young Justice was good, but you didn't talk about the fun factor. It accomplished its goal in the first issue. Fun and left me wondering what's next. With new secrets, just fun. Yes, Vi
is welcome to watch my video on Young Justice where I talked about how fun it was and how entertaining it was.
Hey, this isn't the Bats and Ash show. You're a guest. Silence.
Oh. Okay.
Yes, Vi, it was sorta fun. And the reason I didn't really address the fun factor is because I think it didn't really allow itself to have the fun you believe that was there. I believe it was just a bunch of nonsense, and it's hard for me to have fun in a book that just randomly throws out, hey, look, this happened for no reason, and hey, I don't have to explain anything, and then just blah, 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 just things appear, and where's monsters, now they're leaving, we don't care. I guess maybe that's fun for some people. I think that's terrible, lazy writing, and even when I was 13, I expected more out of comics. Excuse me. So I think that's why I didn't address the fun factor, but I can definitely admit that that's what the book was trying to do. That was what it was appearing to be, and apparently some people like yourself found it fun, so more power to you. I'm not telling you not to. If you like the book, fantastic. Those were my opinions of it.
I feel like they captured what the book used to be in the 90s.
Maybe I didn't read it. To me,
I did, though. That's the thing.
My idea of fun, you want to talk about 90s, my idea of fun, if you ever read David Michelini's run on Amazing Spider-Man in the 90s, that is fun. With first Todd McFarlane and then Eric Larson coming on. I think even Eric Larson's run was better than McFarlane's, at least in the term of stories. That was fun comics. Just goofy nonsense with kids running around and nothing explained and nothing makes sense, and it's just blah, blah, blah. I mean, I think I would have appreciated Young Justice better if there were no word balloons and it was just art, and I could just appreciate Patrick Gleason's art and go, hey, look, this is charming and fun. But as soon as I read all of Bendis' writing, I'm just like pounding my head on the floor. Let's see. Let's wrap this up. Blah, 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 blah. I think Joker's Jewish, like his voice actor, Mark Hamill. Okay, I got no comment on that. Vi says, I like you, Bats. What's your thought on Bendis' Superman? All right, wrap it up for us, Bats. You got the final comment.
You're welcome to subscribe to my channel where I review all the Bendis Superman in a polarizing opposite opinion of Ash.
All right.
Not intentionally, it just is. It just is.
Way to avoid the question by plugging your channel. I commend you on that. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this stream for the purposes of having something that I can have as a recording. If you are watching this after the fact of the recording, I thank you very much. And hopefully, if you've got this far, yeah, I mean, at least I want people to read the or to hear the parts that I want to talk about Ryan Stegman. Thank you guys in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and just stop the stream, and then I'm going to restart it so we can be like blather about whatever, and I don't have to worry about all that stuff. So thanks for watching.